1998, Ramji Raghavan left a career in banking in London to create Agastya, a transformative innovation education charity that has grown to become one of the largest creative hands-on mobile education programs for economically disadvantaged children and government school teachers in the world. I mean, remember that first time where education was fun, where it didn't feel like going to school, it just felt like play, but you were learning? Like, this is what this man and his organization is all about. It's incredible. Operating with a fleet of more than 200 mobile labs, 95 science centers, 80 lab on bikes, 400 Operation Vasthana night village schools, and a 172-acre campus near Bangalore. Agastya has reached creative hands-on science and art education to over 13 million children and 250,000 teachers across 21 states. He's been in all sorts of commissions and authored articles, and you name it, he's done it. And we'll hear from Jay Segal after him, but Ramji, why don't you come up and say a few words? And we'll please welcome him.
Thank you, Alex, and Drexel University. And actually, I'm a kind of add-on. I was visiting New York. A colleague of mine contacted Alex. He was very kind to invite me here and to say a few words. And you know, sometimes the best things in life happen in a very unexpected way. And in my case, I was thrilled to meet my old friend Ravi Reddy. You know, how much money you give is important, but when you give it is sometimes even more important. And back in 1999, when I was floundering, I still flounder, but I was, you know, floundering to a very high, intense level, looking for money and resources. Ravi Reddy and his partner, Sandeep Tungari, gave us $100,000 each. And that made such a big difference. Okay? I mean, we've probably raised over $100 million in the years since then on a currency-adjusted basis. But those $200,000 at that time made a huge difference to my sense of motivation and laying the foundation for what became Agastya. So Agastya's mission is to spark curiosity, nurture creativity, instill confidence and caring in underprivileged children and government school teachers through hands-on experiential learning. And there's a book coming out called The Moving of Mountains on the foundation. The Maharishi Agastya was in ancient Indian history involved with literally the moving of the Vindhya mountains. So the book has been inspired by that story to give it the title. And there are lots of learnings there, stories, and you know, be delighted to send you a copy of it or the reference to it. And a lot of the younger people especially, perhaps some of the questions that were asked, maybe you can actually go through a live case story of all the ups and downs that typically you have to go through. But 3-4 years after I started the foundation, I went to see the then President of India, Dr. Kalam. And I asked him, Sir, what does India lack or what does India need? And I think this was in 2003. And he said, you know, he was playing with his worry beads in Rashtrapati Bhavan. And he said 3 things. I said, what are they? He said, the first is curiosity. Curiosity is the source of all innovation. We lack curiosity. The second is more prosaic. We all know about it. Every society needs skills in different domains, so skills. The third is confidence. You must believe you can do something. You must believe you can achieve something. And if there's one lesson we can learn from the American story, an example, is the importance of confidence, right? So that was a big kind of epiphany for me. In fact, I remember going up to a young girl one day called Uma, and she had been to our campus many times, and I asked her, Uma, what impact have we had? And I thought she'd say, I'm acing my tests in science, doing very well, and so on and so forth. It turned out she was, but that isn't what she said. She said, "Sir, I'm not afraid to speak anymore." And that really went home, and I remembered the Kalam comment about self-belief and confidence. And I think India has come a long way since then, since 2003. I think if Kalam were alive, he would probably say we've come a long way in terms of confidence. And the beauty of that, therefore, is that absorption in Indian society has gone up. See, in the old days, you could go and invest $1 million or $1 billion somewhere and see very little impact. Not just in India, many parts of the world. Right? I remember when I was at Citibank, the senior executive who mentioned he had lunch with Henry Kissinger when South America was going down the tubes. And the Citibank executive was talking about what Citi was doing in South America, and Kissinger said, "We need a Marshall Plan for South America." And the gentleman said, "Beg to differ with you, sir." "Why is that?" He said, "Look, when we had the Marshall Plan, when we spent those $13 billion in Europe, Europe's physical assets had been completely destroyed. But the attitudes, the entrepreneurial attitude, the knowledge, the hunger to do something was all intact. So when that is there and alive, absorption is very high. And you go pour money in, you're going to get tremendous returns. But if that isn't there, then it doesn't matter how much money you pour in, you won't get those returns. My sense is in India today, the absorption capacity of Indian society has really shot up. And it's about confidence, it's about curiosity, it's about skills, that if you go and invest money in a country like India today, the kind of returns you'll get, however you measure them, and in the social arena it's not that easy, are going to be several times higher than almost anywhere else in the world, because the base is also very low. So you have two beautiful things there now, a low base, high absorptive capacity. So what you need are the resources, which is knowledge and money, and you're going to get an explosion of returns. And given its critical mass, India, anything that happens in India that's of value to Indian society is almost by definition of value to the world. Because if you have 15% of the world's population living suboptimal, it's going to drag down the world average. And in today's interconnected, complex world, that problem will be your problem. So whichever way you look at it, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, however you want to see it, India is a great investment, a great investment. Now, I'm nearing the end of my innings. You know, I got involved in this in my late 30s, early 40s. But I'm happy I'm still around to see this kind of remarkable turnaround in India. And people used to say, friends of mine, you know, many of them have done extremely well on Wall Street and other places. You're wasting your time going back to India. It's a high-risk decision. Probably was a very high-risk decision. But you know, I think the last 20-odd years building Agastya Foundation have been the most remarkable experience of my life. And net, perhaps instead of reaching 5 million children a year as we do today, we ought to have been reaching 50 million, maybe. But net, the system has been extremely supportive. State governments, some of them more forward-looking than others, have signed MOUs with us. We've had our heart-stopping moments, ups and downs, but it's worked out. We couldn't have got the 172-acre campus without the help of a state government. We couldn't have done the huge MOU we have in the state of Karnataka without the championship of the Chief Secretary of Karnataka. Same things happening in Haryana, Bodoland, you name it. Corporates have come together, HNIs, and I'll end with this. In 2003, I met Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, the famous stock market investor. And immediately he said, I'll give you money for one mobile lab. He just picked up on the idea. A few months later, he said 3 mobile labs. And I said, wow, I found my cash cow. So I went back to him again, and he said, yeah, Ramji, I like you. Sit down, I'll get you this sweet lime juice, but I'm not into charity. I don't know what to say. So I said, look, Rakesh, do you know who the chairman of General Motors is? And he said, Hoga yaar koi? I don't know. So I said, even I don't. But who was John Harvard? And he said, must have been the founder or benefactor of Harvard. So I said, yeah. So the thing about education is if you get it right, your name can last not for a few weeks or months, but perhaps centuries. Now, I'm not saying we are the next Harvard, but I don't think John Harvard thought that the New England College would become the Harvard University of today. So who knows? Anyway, he liked the idea. And then a year went by and he said, I'll give you, at that time, the equivalent of $12 million. He never sent anyone to audit our books since then. Never. He joined the board and he would ask some pretty tough questions. He's a pretty forceful character. But he never did, because he went with trust. Trust in the individual, trust in the mission, trust in the vision. And there are many such organizations and individuals in India. People can speak to it, whether it's Pratham or Akshay Patra, many others. The water project that you're doing, involved with people like Ravi Reddy. I mean, there are many, many outstanding, well-meaning people in India engaged in social development. There are millions of, not millions, but a few 100,000 NGOs that may be iffy. But it's not very difficult to filter through that. And like Alex has done, got the 25 NGOs in IPA, and maybe that group will expand. So all I want to say is, India is a very, very positive bet. India is inherently volatile, because socially there are lots of differences. But that's the fun in the game, riding that curve and creating something that no one would expect you could have done. Thank you very much.